Alright, well today's the day where I realise that I don't call this channel Clint Mulber Adventures for nothing. What you're about to see has just blown my mind. James and I just decided to go into the jungle. We were looking for some star mounds here in Samoa. What we found went way beyond that. We found a star mound pretty quickly, but behind it we found an actual mound, pyramid style, whether it's a pyramid mound, burial mound. Last year in 2023, we were lucky enough to go over to Samoa and see Pulimalay, which is huge. What we just discovered, I don't think it's as big as Pulimalay, but it's substantial. So in the next few minutes, stick with it, stay to the end of the video, because what we find at the end is the real kicker. But yeah, this is a live discovery. This is something that we just found, so enjoy. I'm feeling pumped. All right. Okay, enjoy this video. Hey adventurers, out here on the southern coast of Upolu Island in Samoa, and got some really interesting stuff. We've got a star mound over there in the distance. Very hard to make out, but what we just discovered having a look is this quite large mound up here. So we're gonna go have a look at it. James is trying to make his way up now, but let's check this out. This is a new discovery for us. Haven't seen this on previous. All right, so we have just come up from the bottom down there, so that's low point. Come up this point here. Now it's pretty hard to make out, but we're talking everything here is stones of this kind of magnitude the way up. So this is definitely man-made. There's a really big clump down there. It almost feels like there's a channel or an old stairway up through this direction, and from down the base down there to where I am at this point, I'm going to estimate about 7 meters. So this is a significant mound that we are standing on, and even with all the jungle canopy, I suspect this is fairly leveled off underneath.
It's not volcanic.
Yeah, these all loose stones. You can see everywhere, like incredibly loose. Like I think everything underfoot, if I touch it, it's just going to move. So not the easiest thing to make your way on, big stones, but yeah, very loose, but definitely collected together, placed here. So we do have some kind of mound that we've just got up on top of. Now up here on the flatter part of this mound, I'm sorry, with the jungle, it makes everything look so tight, but the edge is literally along that line. So this, we're on the flattened top here, that line's the edge, and from there it goes down. This is actually quite flattened off. I know it's difficult to tell. In this area, what I'm noticing as I look down though, it's coral, it's shells on top of the stones that have all been laid up here. I can see some kind of semicircle structure just there. So going this way, so we'll have a look at that. And there's some other potential structure that's sitting up there, but yeah.
This is the edge here, so that's got to be 50 meters across the top?
Easily. Yeah, so I think it is feeling a lot like Pulimalay in terms of size.
We've got rough stone here, and then you sort of come across a line, and then it's all sand and shells.
Sand, shells, so whether...
Rock, and then into the sand where you're standing.
Yep, so yeah, the rock over there next to James. And as James is saying, come down here and through this area, corals, shell, sand, just all ground up on the bottom. Very, other than where the larger rocks are, actually really flat as well. But
I mean, we're 75 meters above sea level now.
Really that high? Didn't feel it. So yeah, seeing lots of shell.
Just going to check the calibration.
Okay. All right, so definitely a raised, flattened off rock platform, stone, man-made platform. You can see, look through here, you can see the stones. These stones are big, they're large, probably 20 to 30 kilos on average, I'd say, a lot of them. So this is the reverse side of the mound down there. So we're looking to probably the east, and in this direction over to the north there is like a taper down there. Again, just so hard to describe this with footage and show you on a video. The jungle, the canopy is just too thick to help you get perception, but if I put my hand in frame, it's that edge there and it dips down, but a very distinct Great. What James has just found over here is we've got this assemblage. These are noticeably larger rocks here under James' foot, and James has noticed that within that, as I think you should be able to see, it looks like a fairly deep hole. This looks like a genuine opening, so James is going to get a branch, just protrude. I think it's going to be more than that.
It's still going.
Yeah, so it's a substantial, there it is, it's gone. So there is some kind of hole down deep into this mound. So whether that's going to lend weight to the idea of this being a burial mound, because I know that the jury is out, or that's my understanding of what these are for. There's definitely this one quite deep hole here, like obviously deeper than the length of that branch. And I noticed another one just behind us, just over there. So there's at least 2 of these chasms on this top. Let's go have a look at some of the other features we've noticed. So here we are again. Now we're coming to the southern side. The perimeter is just there where my finger is going. And after that, there's a drop off down. So there's a very distinct flattened area. Right in front of us though is this structure here. It's larger stones in a semicircle horseshoe type shape. Again, we're seeing these larger stones then with what looks like a area going down into it. I see another one just there as well, and these seem like quite big holes. So whether or not at some point these were open, something was placed in, if this was a tomb and then stones were placed over the top, or if maybe they were moved off and people go in at some kind of ceremony. But around this area, which seems to be kind of central, I'm noticing several points here, that all look like kind of openings into this structure. It gets more fascinating the longer we look at it. James, just to give some perspective, James is just going to walk over to the edge. It's probably a bit easier than me pointing it out. So, right, so all of this top area is, for all intents and purposes, quite flat. The edge, so James is almost to it now. It is just there. So he's just starting to descend now because it's got like a sloping side. If I get down here, we can see. Yep. So there it is. So there is a little dip there, but then there's a distinct drop off after that point. So here's the semicircle. It almost, I just feel like this obviously represents something. It's a distinct semicircle here on the top. On the flattened part, there's this area has actually been quite flattened out, which is directly under my feet. And then there seem to be a lot of these which feel like deliberate holes in the stonework just over to this side. And then I'm going to take a look down in that direction down there. Right, so what I'm noticing here, these stones are really substantial in this area. They're large and they feel much, much firmer underfoot. Still gaps between them, but the really interesting thing, now it's starting to look and feel like a modern Samoan burial mound or a South American style pyramid, step pyramid, in that I'm seeing there's the forest floor, then it comes up and over, flattens out here, and then goes up again and then flattens out to that top, which is where I just was, just above the tree. So there are definitely distinct levels to this, and we've got much larger stones at this point and much firmer underfoot. This bit's a lot easier to walk on, and then it flattens right out at the jungle floor. So yeah, it really is feeling like it is some kind of mound layered pyramid. On that side is the southern edge of this structure, so facing out to the coast. Now, this bit, substantial rocks, it has the look that some of the rocks have been pulled away. There were previous tsunamis have hit this coast. It feels like some of the stones have been hit and then dragged back off the top, which brings us to the most interesting thing that James has just discovered here. So looking at this, we are not too far from the crest. Let me just bring you back. So that's the top, that's the platform. Now we look just down here as we're heading up, and there's this area here. As you look in, you can see that substantial hole there, over there. Now this is a big space. What it's feeling like to us here on the ground, I'm gonna try and get over a bit closer, but not too close, is I think we're looking at a potential chamber into this location. There's substantial holes and space everywhere down there. Even again through here, you can see it. and it's all facing, if we were to continue on, straight to the center of the mound. So I think what we might see is something that either was an entrance, or perhaps when the last tsunami hit this point has pulled rocks off the rock face and opened up a potential entrance into the mound. I appreciate this is going to be really difficult for people to see, just because it's hard to film in the jungle, but the line, the space is this area. I'm tracing it around with my finger here. It looks like all of that area there, if you took that away, there's a tunnel, a passage straight in to this location. This is actually really incredible. So the feature that I was just pointing out, the thing that we think is a potential tunnel or door, James has got an alternative theory, and I love this. I'll let James explain.
So if it looks to the side, you can see all the undergrowth. It looks like no one's ever touched it. Here, the rocks are clearly exposed. It looks like someone has moved them around. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, Indiana Jones, you know, tomb robbers, all the rest of that. And think, don't be stupid, James. You're just letting yourself run away from yourself. And then exhibit number one. Someone's actually cut one of the trees here. Somebody has been here. I wonder if this has actually been moved then.
Yeah, I think it's a compelling theory, particularly that branch. It's such a good pickup. Or that trunk. I cannot see anyone. That's definitely cut. It's not broken. It's a clean,
another one cut on there.
Straight cut. There is one just there that could potentially be natural damage there. But if you are going to excavate into this point, you want to tie off and go down. That actually becomes really important. So this might be the evidence. Actually, we're not the first ones to find this. There's one of the cut sections right there potentially, because this end looks a bit rough. The other end actually looks pretty good. So the mystery deepens. All right, one of the things that James and I are noticing, so we're still just near the entrance, tunnel, or what we're going to call the entrance, is with the stones here, I couldn't help but notice several, actually, and this is a smaller one so I can move it, look pretty flattened off to me. Look almost deliberately flattened off on that side, so roughly straight edges. Now, if someone has been here and broken it up, there it is, that's the side that was on the inside, so no moss on it. It's those, what would have been, I imagine, external. It's actually pretty flat, so we've got one there, another like quite substantial one right here. So, you know, we've not just got one flattened side, we've got flat, flat, flat. So, you know, pretty cube-like. Again, that's the outside with the moss deeper in where it would have been in the ground. No. So once again, looking at what James and I are calling the entrance, I'm trying to get a little bit further over it. Obviously a little bit worried that maybe there's not that much stone under me here and we're up pretty high. I've put the torch on. So if you have a look, like this void, once we get past that cobweb, it's substantial. It goes, that's a significant way in, and it's there, and it is here. Back here, like that particular hole that you can see just there in the center of screen, I can't go any further back. That goes back a long way. It goes back a long way. And then over here as well, same thing. So, you know, those handful of stones there, they have, I think, kind of tipped over it. James might be right. Someone might have deliberately come and already got into or tried to get into this. I'm going to say got into. Or the alternative is that with tsunami damage, this face has been pulled away, but that cut branch is the real thing. But looking down in this area, it's a substantial hole, and it's right in the southern end of this feature. All right, so just coming back, the mound that we were just on top of is just in that direction. So just up there, and it's substantial. It's from that point all the way up to there. It's huge. As we're coming back closer to the coast, we have found the edge of the Star Mound, which is what brought us into the jungle today. It's actually one of the best examples I've seen. Star Mounds can be very difficult to make out in the thick jungle, but if you have a look, you've got all these quite large stones, and the top edge is just there as well. So this is one of those side prongs of the star. Looking here and then going over to that direction, it's more of it just over there, and its top edge is right on that line there. So you can actually see it. It looks nice and flat, which it is in real life. So it's probably the best one I've been able to capture in the jungle. All right, so I'm now up on top of that mound that we were just looking at. So flat platform up here. just spinning around. So when you're in the jungle, it's so hard to make out on a camera, but when you're seeing it in real life, it's really obvious. The stones are huge, man-made, intentionally placed. No question of that. So this has been one hell of a day. Great adventure. As I was talking, just looking down, you can see the really large stones there off the edge of one portion of the mound. I'm up on the high part of it here. That is second area extending out there. And this is the flat part. See the large stones? Look at that. That's a really good example. So we've got this large, very flat area. So this is probably right in the center of the mound here, and then looking out that way, and there's almost like two together, I would say, here. Really, what an adventure. It's great.